morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I've got wonderful news about reprints and availability of Pokémon TCG booster boxes, specifically in Japan, and this is wonderful news. I am delighted. You see, my Pokémon TCG collection nowadays is largely Japanese, and I'm not just talking about singles and any of that. That the Koraidon and Miraidon decks that came around that we're getting in Temporal Forces, yeah, they arrived at my house yesterday. Totally imported them from Japan. And they're actually really nice. They're packaged in a way where the EXs are actually popping out of the packaging. They're really cool. But the point is, I like collecting Japanese cards. And for a long time, buying boxes from Japan was super duper easy and it wasn't an issue. And then a couple of years ago, it started getting really difficult. And nowadays, trying to get Japanese boxes is just a pain. Like, buying them on the Pokemon Center officially, the Japanese Pokemon Center, and I do order from there a lot, used to be, well, it's always been done by lottery. For a long time, it's been done by lottery, at least. And I used to win this lottery about 2/3 of the time, and that was lovely. Recently, I don't. Just never. Literally never. I do not get the lottery. I do not win the lottery. When I enter the lottery to try and win a box, I do not win a box. It's really sad. And I'm fairly sure it's because I'm using a proxy address. I believe, and I have no proof of this, but it's not the kind of thing that would ever be announced. But I went from winning the lottery about 2/3 of the time to be able to buy this at retail to literally not winning it for about a year. So I'm going to let you guys draw your own conclusions on that one. I certainly have. And the reason has been Japanese cards are getting more and more popular, and singles prices of some Japanese cards are getting ridiculous, and that has led to people basically getting a bit silly, and people who don't really want to collect Japanese cards trying to get into it for those reasons. And it means people like myself, who are picking up all the starter decks and everything else, are struggling, frankly, to actually be able to get hold of all of these cards. I mean, you can look, there were some examples recently. Take the Iono, for instance. In Japan, it's a 90,000 yen card mint. That's basically $610. That's absurd, because obviously, you know, go to a Paldea Evolve, buy the Iono over here, and what do we see? Yeah, it's like a $75 card. Massively cheaper over here, which is lovely. The thing is, that's not really happening anymore. We are not seeing this same level of ridiculous prices in Japanese cards, and that is one of the things that is helping make everything a bit more available. People want to be able to buy these boxes and pull the Iono, which is going to be like a $600 card. That's just not happening. Like, if we take Paradox Rift as an example, the most expensive card in Japan in Paradox Rift is Roaring Moon. But it's only a 13,000 yen card. That's just under $90. And sure, that's a little more expensive than the English version of Roaring Moon, but not very much. It's like a $60 card. So all of a sudden, it's not really worth trying to pick up this card because it doesn't have the ridiculous kind of value. And we're seeing this more and more nowadays, that those ridiculous Japanese prices for singles, and you know, like I say, the Iono's there are absolutely exceptions out there. There are still some out there, but it's happening less often than it used to, which means we're not picking up these Japanese boxes looking for these ridiculous hits anymore, which is lovely. And we're also seeing that the boxes are becoming more available. Like I told you, you know, they're the Japanese equivalent of Paradox Rift, that is to say Ancient Roar and Future Flash. They're available on the Pokemon Center Japan right now. Now, this is something I noticed the other day, and this is a huge deal because this doesn't happen. I am on the Pokemon Center Japan. I check it like every day just to see if anything cool's come out, anything's come into stock, etc. Right now, they are just sitting in stock. Just sitting there. There's no lottery. There's a purchase limit of 1 box per person, admittedly, but that's it. They are just sitting there in stock, ready to go. This is a huge change, a gigantic change, because that never used to happen. We didn't used to see this. Boxes have been lottery only in Japan for a long time, and the only exception to this has been made to order. So there have been some sets like 151 and Clayburst, for instance, they're ridiculously popular sets. Clayburst is the one that had the Iono in, incidentally. It's why it's so important to, make that made to order and make it available. So we've had some made to order boxes because they're so ridiculously popular. Essentially, Pokemon have stepped in and gone, we need to try and do something about this, get these into the hands of people. But just going on the Pokemon Center and finding it available? No! That's not happened for so long. And they're just there, and like I say, there is a purchase limit of 1, but the idea that these are just in stock on the Pokemon Center, readily available, and incidentally, as I record this, they've been there for days. This is wild. Oh, but Wassy, I hear you say. Come on, mate. That's the last set. That's not the new exciting set. You're not talking about Cyber Judge and Wild Force. That's the most recent set that came out in Japan. Yeah, they're sitting there in stock too. The last 2 double sets over in Japan are just sitting in stock on the Pokemon Center online, at retail, just readily available to buy. And sure, like I say, there is a purchase limit of 1, but they are just available. Like the starter decks and all of that, I've been buying them from Japan, well, since I started collecting Japanese cards, and there's never been any issues. They have always been readily available. Those Koraidon and Miraidon decks I told you about, picked them up, no issue whatsoever. This morning I ordered the Battle Academy from Japan because that's got 8 EXs that aren't going to be found anywhere else, and if I'm going to be collecting Japanese cards, kind of need those 8 EXs plus the other exclusive cards. So that's easy. Picking up these decks has been easy. Picking up booster boxes has frankly been a pain. And now, and I don't need to, I've opened boxes of these sets. Generally in Japan, because you get 4 of the 6 EXs, and basically all but like 1 holo in the set, and 3 of the 12 artwork rares, the best bet for Japanese boxes is open 1, and then just go and buy 2 EXs, 1 holo, and 9 artwork rares, and boom. That's it, that's the set. But the point is, they're just available now. And this is a huge change, a wonderful change, a fantastic change. But that's not all. Because apparently, and like I say, that there is tangible evidence, tangible proof right now that it's better. The fact that the 4 most recent sets, 2 double sets, are just literally sitting in stock on the Pokemon Center, ready to buy and have been for days, that tells you that things are getting better. But I'm also seeing more stuff coming around. So here's a post from Sakura's Card Shop. They are a reseller. They sell Japanese cards and all of that. I'm not sponsored by them. This isn't a sponsored video. But they've been pretty good. I've been following them for a little while, checking out what they do. And their information generally seems to be correct. And they've shared this. Word on the street for Japanese Pokemon, we should see a big increase in printing. This will probably push out the Japanese sellers who only sell by the box to overseas sellers. What does this mean? Even more sealed cases with no premiums, more honest sellers from Japan, cheaper prices maybe. We already sell quite a few sets below MSRP. Not confirmed, but source is usually correct. Now, like I've said, the last 2 double sets have just been available. The single prices are not getting up to ridiculous levels. The boxes are available on the Pokemon Center. All the information we can see, and it's not just rumors, it's out there, is that these are readily available now. And we're hearing that in a few months it's going to get better. This is amazing. Like, if I just try and buy a Cyber Judge booster box over, in the UK from Japan, if I try and import one right now and I don't try anything else, I literally just Google it and see what kind of prices I'm getting. It's kind of absurd how cheap and easy to get it is right now. Japan to UK.com, not a sponsored video, just showing it as an example. £38. It's cheap to the point I don't know if it's even worth trying to buy them on the Pokemon Center to import them. Honestly, if you buy them from the Pokemon Center, the MSRP is $37, or for me, it's about £29. So, is it really worth paying the postage from Japan to save like £9? Now, you do have to pay a couple of pounds postage for this, admittedly, but oh my word, this is kind of ridiculous. Now, is it not like it for everything? 151 is still an absolute nightmare to get hold of. Just letting you know, 151 is the one set that is consistently just a nightmare to get hold of. I'm seeing that for, Japan to UK, they're selling Cyberjudge for £38. They're selling 151 for 150. So 151, you are unfortunately going to run into some trouble. That is not a very available set. But basically, since then, things have been getting good. And I don't see any reason why this wouldn't carry on in the future. And we're being told that printing is being upped in July. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. This is looking awesome. This is great news. I love it. But now it's over to you guys. Let me know what you think about all of this. Let me know if you care about Japanese cars. Let me know if you care more or less now that they're becoming available and the price is plummeting. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Mary Sanders Lazenby, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.